し、誰だ。さっき父の名を語り、光月おでん。またの名を。ヤマト。
What's up everyone, I'm the one and only Sage, and since I've covered Odin's strength, I thought why not cover the fake Odin next, the self-proclaimed one. As you know, I'm referring to the Oni princess Yamato, who is self-stylized as Odin. It can't be denied that she is very strong, however her exact strength I'd say is definitely underrated, and it's about time Yamato got the credit she deserves. But before we delve into it though, if you're new to the channel or you like content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel and smash the like button. In the description is the links to my Twitter, Discord and Twitch, so follow me on Twitter and Twitch and join the Discord. As always, your support is much appreciated. Yamato is the daughter of Kaido, so she's an Oni with natural great physical strength. She grew over the years by countlessly challenging Kaido, and every beatdown made her stronger. She's also the user of the mythical wolf Devil Fruit, which not only gives her a boost in all her stats, but gives her ice abilities as well. From Yamato's character and even the symbolism of her Devil Fruit, which is a guardian spirit wolf, she's the opposite of the fire-breathing tyrant Kaido in many ways. Yamato can use all three types of Haki and use the advanced levels of Armament and Conqueror's Haki. Her Haki flows at the level at which she can create a barrier and outwardly emit her Haki, but can't use internal destruction just like Hyogoro. We know she doesn't use internal destruction Ryo because she was surprised when Luffy broke her handcuffs who can use it. We were introduced to Yamato when she one-shot Zoan form Oti in base with a Thunder Bagua. Oti was strong enough to push Luffy to use Gear 4 to get out of her strong grip. Base Yamato being superior to Gear 2nd and Gear 3rd Ryo Luffy is very clear, not only because she one-shot Oti, but she was able to easily hold back Luffy, who was adamant on trying to get past her while holding back. This is all without using Conqueror's coated attacks except for when she knocked out Oti. Yamato really shows just how much she was holding back all this time when she fights Hybrid Kaido. Base Yamato opens a fight against Kaido by clashing their Conqueror's coated attacks evenly. She might have used her Zoan powers in that moment, but we don't see it, and the first we do see it is later on in the fight, so we can only assume Yamato was still in base. At one point towards the end of the fight, Yamato protected Momonosuke from Hybrid Kaido, which does give more credence to Yamato being able to clash against Hybrid Kaido in her base form. This is a good feat for Yamato's base, as the only person to clash Kaido like this before her was Luffy after awakening Advanced Conquerors. Luffy's base had surpassed his Gear 4 from before, as his Conqueror's coated attacks, despite its use being crude and clumsy, it wasn't too shallow unlike Ryo Gear 4. This would scale base Yamato above even Ryo Gear 4, which makes how casually she held back against Gear 2 and 3 understandable without using Conqueror's coating, which boosts one's strength a lot. As we cover this, you'll start to notice that the thing with comparing feats against Kaido is that Kaido doesn't go all out unless he has to. Ever since the beginning of the rooftop battle started with the Scabbards, Kaido's been using more of his strength and abilities when necessary. For example, against the Scabbards, he didn't use his hybrid form, but against the Supernova, he did. And against the Supernova, he didn't use Future Sight, but against a stronger and faster Luffy, he did. The same goes for how much Kaido's actually trying behind his regular Conqueror's coated attacks, because all of these clashes look the same from Kaido's end, but it's clear that the levels to which he's trying in each of these moments are different. That's why for this clash, I only at least scale it above Ryo Gear 4 Luffy and not have base Yamato without doubt as strong as a clumsy Conqueror's coated Gear 2nd Luffy. The main reason being is that Ryo Luffy isn't portrayed to be able to match any Conqueror's coated attack from Kaido before he unlocked his. With that said, Kaido took the fight against Yamato seriously and was bloodlusted given the fact that he admitted he was trying to kill her. Yamato held her own, holding him back until Luffy's return, which was her objective, and she wasn't defeated in the process. However, she was clearly inferior to Kaido. Throughout the fight, Kaido compliments her strength and never criticized her usage of Conqueror's Haki, which suggests that she has a perfect mastery of it, unlike Luffy from before, whose usage was crude and clumsy. When Yamato uses a hybrid form, she was able to clash against Kaido back and forth a few times, as shown by the impact markers in this panel. When she does get blown back by Kaido's attack though, she's still able to stay on her feet. Yamato uses an ice attack called Manuchi Glacier Fang, which Kaido equalizes with his Boro Breath. Kaido's Boro Breath definitely has very inconsistent showings, where it's shown to be ineffective against Rio Luffy, however can damage Gear 4 Conqueror's coated Luffy later on. This goes back to what I was saying about Kaido holding back his strength and only using what he deems necessary. Unironically, Yamato did see Gear 5 get hit by Kaido's Boro Breath and didn't react to it being any different or more powerful to what she faced. So you could say Yamato has the power to damage Gear 4 Conqueror's coated Luffy and Gear 5 just as much as Kaido did. Yamato uses a flying arrow attack which is deflected, then Kaido uses his own version which sends her flying. It's clear at this point that even though their fighting styles are pretty much the same, that Kaido is the superior of the two and Yamato can't compete like she was at the beginning of the fight. This is all still a testament to her toughness and endurance, as she's able to get repeatedly hit by Kaido, get back up, and still have the energy to carry on fighting. Yamato's best feat is when she uses Thunder Bagua against Kaido, who's using his own. Yamato was fast enough to land her attack on Kaido's head, at the same time Kaido was able to land an attack on her, meaning they're relatively equal in speed while using this attack. When Law tried to save a severely injured Zoro, he got completely blitzed by a Thunder Bagua, which would mean that Yamato's speed in general would be above the 5 Supernova at that point in the raid. Even with Law and Kid fighting Big Mom later on, there's no speed feat to note that is better than what Yamato does here. Even when base to base, Yamato was able to blitz him, and we know that he's not just letting her attack hit him, because during the fight Kaido makes sure to defend himself when he can, as Yamato's attacks are effective against him. Excluding just this attack, for most of the fight against Kaido, she was able to keep up with Kaido's combat speed well enough, which is more impressive than getting hits off through consecutive attacks like the 5 Supernova at times on the roof or Law and Kid against Big Mom. Kaido also has the ability to see the future with his observation haki, and although we know for a fact that he didn't use it against the Supernova and Luffy in their early rounds, it's not as clear with Yamato. If he did use it against her, then that makes Yamato's combat speed even better, as it would mean that she can keep up with a hybrid Kaido that is faster than Conqueror's amped Snake Man Luffy. That said though, I wouldn't say it's probable that Kaido used Future Sight despite being blood-dusted. Yamato's attack power is criticized by some for not being that strong because she only drew a little bit of blood from Kaido's head with her strongest attack. The issue with this is that visual damage doesn't always represent how much one did better than others. For example, which attack is stronger, the Scabbard's Paradise Totsuka or Zoro's Ashura? Anyone would say Ashura, however the Scabbards drew more blood from their attack and there was a whole pool of blood left under Kaido after that attack. But we know from context that Zoro's is stronger because he left the scar. Another example would be when Chopper was fighting Queen. There were times when Chopper was drawing a lot of blood on panel on Queen, but it was stated that it did no damage. And when Sanji fought Queen, some attacks that didn't visually look as powerful were more damaging to Queen than what Chopper was doing. Another example would be in chapter 1010, when Law uses injection shot on Kaido compared to when Luffy is using Conqueror's coated punches at the end of that chapter. They draw the same or similar amount of blood from Kaido's mouth, however with context we know that Luffy's attack is much stronger. Although blood is usually an indicator of damage, the context of the attacks matter as well. Yamato can use advanced Conqueror's Haki, which requires one to reach a certain threshold of strength. We know this because Rayleigh explains that since you can't train Conqueror's Haki to be stronger, it can only grow as the user grows stronger. This means that Yamato's overall strength and her attacks should be stronger than any Conqueror who can't use this level, which would include probably the strongest base Conqueror so far, Captain Kidd. It just doesn't make any sense to say that Yamato's attacks are relatively weak when on several occasions she's clashing, blocking and withstanding a bloodlusted Kaido's attacks. She was able to knock Kaido with his face into the ground while he had his guard up and even cracked his jaw, as you can see from the SFX, with an unnamed attack. When you also consider the fact that her Ice Breath matched Kaido's Fire Breath, who could damage Gear 4 Conqueror's coated Luffy, who at this point has it mastered, to say that her Thunder Bagua is weak when making Kaido bleed from his head is still impressive just makes no sense at all. Ultimately, we know for a fact that Yamato's attacks were effective in wearing down Kaido, as Onigashima was starting to collapse after the fight with her was done due to Kaido's powers weakening. Yamato was definitely a big contributor in all this, as all the attacks on Kaido prior to Zoro's Ashura only did shallow damage. chapter 1010 Luffy up until his defeat in 1013, which seemed to be around 20 minutes, did more to wear down Kaido than everything done to Kaido before in the raid up until that point. Yamato should be stronger than Gear 2nd and 3rd Luffy at this point, so over the course of her fight against Kaido, she probably did the most to wear him down up until that point. Yamato can also use a defensive shield over her body to take on very powerful attacks. At first it seemed as though she fully blocked Kaido's Thunder Bagua, but after she was done fighting, the effects kicked in and she said she wasn't even close to blocking it. It's kind of weird that, the damage was delayed like that, as if their fight started lagging because of bad Wi-Fi or something. Even though she couldn't block the attack fully, she was still able to endure the attack well enough that she was still active and fighting in the dome after the fight, albeit against much weaker people like Drake. So I'd say that her shield would at least be effective against those around her level of strength and weaker. For all we know, only attacks of Kaido's Thunder Bagua caliber can fully break her shield and damage her, so it's hard to say what the upper limits to her defense is. With all that said, Yamato is a powerhouse, and it's no surprise Kaido respects her as a soldier. She's among the handful of the strongest, but it's definitely on the low end of that scale, with there being a massive gap and levels difference between her and the top tiers like Kaido. She's definitely the only one outside of Luffy that has the ability to give a top tier the best fight by herself amongst the alliance in Onigashima currently. As for where she ranks, like I said, she should be stronger than Luffy when he had crude and clumsy conquerors, but definitely weaker than Luffy when he came back with mastered conqueror's haki and split the skies with Kaido. This is because Kaido implies that fighting this Luffy is the first time in a long time that someone has truly gone toe to toe against him. Yamato had just fought before this, so with mastered advanced conquerors, Luffy with Gear 2nd and 3rd must be stronger than Yamato, as he has given Kaido a better fight than she did. This also makes Kaido using Future Sight against her pretty much impossible, as he didn't even need it against Luffy, who is stronger than her, until he used Snake Man. In the grand scheme of things though, Yamato is amongst the strongest there is. Stronger than nearly all Yonko subordinates we know of outside of Ben Beckman and probably Shiryu, stronger than everyone in the Allied Alliance in Onigashima outside of Luffy and maybe Zoro as of this recording. Yamato has inherited Oden's ideology, has been the guardian of Wano and its future, and last of all, Kaido's strength. Like the video and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed. I've been the one and only Sage, and until next time.